Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
All right, welcome into a Friday edition of the JP Peterson Show here as we got a huge show coming your way, 2 hours Tampa Bay Sports Center. We do it each and every day. The only 2 hour live stream / podcast, Tampa Bay Sports Center, where we cover all the sports stories. Good morning to you, Nick Dennis on 3 Sports. Got a good show coming this way. We got Corey Long at 10:30. He's been waiting all week to sound off on this college football playoff debacle. Yes, we're still talking about it because we're getting more and more information and we're getting more and more people jumping in. Casey Hudson's going to join us at 11:15 to talk some Bolts. We got a little controversy last night with Cooper pulling the goalie early. We'll talk about that. And also Brian Finneran from Atlanta Radio. I did their show this morning, so he is going to reciprocate for our show here today and give us a lowdown on all the Falcons injuries that are going on in a huge Bucs-Falcons game this weekend that basically will decide the Bucs' fate this year. So we got a lot to get to, my friend.
Yep. Glad to be here. So much to get into. It's been a crazy, crazy week in the world of sports, certainly in the world of college football, and it's not slowing down. We're just waiting for the next piece of information. So I'm excited to get into it. And by the way, before we start, you know what I did last night, JP? Banner moment for me last night. I finally went yard in our softball league.
You got a home run?
I finally did it, JP. I finally did it.
Congrats. Yeah, it's a big moment in your life.
It was a big moment. I was smiling ear to ear after. I couldn't help.
Did you take the trip?
No, I couldn't do that. But it got in my head, though, because my next at-bat, I hit another rocket to left, and I thought it was a home run. I thought I hit 2 in a row. And so I was barely jogging down the first base line. I still had the bat in my hand. And then all of a sudden I hear my guys in the dugout telling me to run. And I'm like, what are you talking about? It's going over the fence.
You were pimping it.
Yeah, it hit the freaking wall. And I ended up with a long single instead of a double. And that was a bad moment for me. I thought I had 2 in a row, but
every time you see a Rosa Rayner or somebody do that now, or who was it? Who was guilty of that last year for the Rays a couple times?
It happens more around the league than you'd like.
But. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, don't pimp it till you know what's going.
I got in my head, but
John Hill's up early in the comment section. Chris Godwin, wife, post the truth. We're gonna get into the Godwin thing. I think this is completely overblown, John. I hate to. I mean, there's so many more things you could go after Bowles for besides this. I was on the Peter Report podcast yesterday, and we were talking about it. And for Bowles, that was just coach speak. He doesn't know what the hell's going on offensively. He was just trying to, just to quell it right there. He wasn't there wasn't some concerted effort to take a shot at Chris Godwin for lack of durability or being, none of that stuff. That it has been blown so far out of proportion. And I totally appreciate his wife being supportive of him. We all want that, right? We all want that. I have a wonderful companion that does that as well, the lovely Ashley. So you want them to support you. But sometimes that may not be the venue and the way to go about it. I totally appreciate what she's trying to do. And again, for Bowles, he's lied about so many other things that are so much more pertinent.
Right.
I.e. Devin White and all these ridiculous personnel choices he's made over the years. So no, this is much to do about nothing, but we'll get into a little bit more. We'll hear from Chris Godwin.
Yeah, I was going to say, just on the surface, you kind of have to take everything a head coach says at the presser with a grain of salt. They're not going to spill too much. And Bowles he lies all the time at the podium. Every head coach does, and this was just the one example where someone took issue with that lie and called him out on it, and that was it. But
the media does it all the time with Bowles. We call him out on it.
Right.
But when somebody's wife does it, now wait a minute now she's definitely putting him on blast, and I get that, but I think it's been a little bit overblown personally. And I think we need to just use that as an opportunity to say, hey, this ain't the first time, folks. If you're waking up to this, Todd Bowles has been doing this, and all coaches do. And it's our job in the media to bring the facts to the table and say, no, this is not quite what's going on here.
And to be honest as well, we might have to even look at the Chris Godwin situation a little differently. Like, we'd all love to see him more involved in the offense, but we have to live in reality of what the Bucs offense is.
Yeah.
And I thought Greg Allman, I always lean on him to give me the great stats and everything. And this one, I think, hit the point home. From 2017 to 22, the Bucs ranked in the top 6 every single year in pass attempts as an offense.
Right.
The last 2 years, they were first. This year, they're 19th.
Yeah.
So inevitably,
that's not by accident.
Yeah, inevitably, one of those guys' numbers, Mike Evans or Chris Godwin, one of those guys' numbers is going to be down. That's kind of inevitable based on what the offense is. So it might just be much to do about nothing, and we might just be overreacting because in an ideal world, we want to see both do what they did together, the last few years.
Well, let me put on my specs here because I have some stats here, and I stole these from John Romano's column, a really good column on the Godwin situation with these numbers. And here's where I think a lot of it is resting. And the Pewter Report guys had this stuff too. We talked about it yesterday. He was in the slot the last few years, 61% of the time 2 years ago, 65% last year. This year, 32%. Right. And Canales prefers when he goes 4 wide to have 2 tight ends and put Godwin out wide instead of having him in the slot. I think that's a mistake. And in the last couple of years, they track this thing called success rate. And with Brady, Godwin was second in the league in success rate on catches, which means you get 40% of the needed yards on first down, 80% on second down, and 100% on third down. He was second only to Travis Kelce. That's why I've always said Godwin is one of the top 5 receivers in the league because he gets what you got to have. He makes the catches, high reception percentage, all those things, can do it all in every different, great blocker, everything. And so as I look at the tape on a week-to-week basis, what's another thing that Mayfield is not doing? He doesn't like throwing over the middle. You know why he doesn't like throwing over the middle? Because he can't freaking see. And teams have now taken away the waggles and the bootlegs that were such a part of the offense early on. So Canales has stopped calling them for the most part. So because there's no real threat in the run game, they can leave a defensive end out there for the naked boots. And when you have somebody out there, which was happening most of the naked boots are kind of ineffective if a guy's just sitting there waiting for you, right? Normally naked boots work because your run game is working and the guy's got to chase it down, right? That wasn't so Canales is trying to kind of, on the fly, trying to change and make adjustments. So now what's happened is Baker's playing from this confined pocket most of the time. And that keeps you from getting good throwing lanes. It keeps him from being out in the open where he can see better. So if he's in a confined pocket, it's hard for him to see. And it's much harder for him to see over the middle. And that's where Godwin lived, in the slot, those option routes in the middle where he could, catch a quick slant, 6-7 yards. He would break the first tackle almost every single time because of his power, his speed, and agility. That was his game. That's what we loved about Chris Godwin. His yak was outstanding. And he would just get that separation in that first tackle. It wasn't happening. He always would turn those 5-yard catches into 15, 16, 20-yard runs. That's not happening anymore. He's a gifted runner. He's very much a Deebo Samuel type. He has been in his career. He has that type of speed. He's a 4.42 guy coming out of college. Now, the knee injury last year, I think a year and a half ago, has limited him. I think there's no question about it. I don't know if we've seen the same. I think we've seen the last couple of games, and that run last week certainly showed it off. That was the old Chris Godwin we have been waiting to see. Broke a couple of arm tackles, made a couple of great moves, willed his way into the end zone. But he's got to get the touches.
Right.
So I think Canales has to make a major adjustment here. He's got to put him back in the slot where he's most comfortable and most effective. And Baker's got to freaking throw the ball.
He's got to find him. He's got to find him. There's some plays out there. In fact, there was a big third down in that game against Carolina. I saw it on tape where instead of throwing to Godwin over the middle of the field, which would have given you a big chunk play, like 15, 20 yards, he was doing like a little deep crosser kind of.
Yep. He
decides to throw the out route to Trey Palmer, who was blanketed in coverage, and he never looked at Chris Godwin's way
inside because he can't see inside.
Yeah,
and that's where he throws his picks. So if the Bucs lose this game, if they do, to me, it's a no-brainer. You got to go to Kyle Trask. Will Bowles do it? Hell no. and maybe someone upper management will need to tell him to do that. But Kyle Trask at 6'5" will be much more effective throwing over the middle, and Chris Godwin, I think, would benefit from that. No question about it. No question about it. So we'll see. Do we have a little bit of Godwin? You want to run that here since we're on the Godwin?
Yeah, we'll pull up Godwin here for a little bit.
Because he addressed the whole deal with his wife's comments and everything.
I don't know if disrespected is the right term. I think it's tough, right? Because obviously it's tough getting into the game, and we all go through different things physically. So being out there and trying to put everything on the line for the team, and just trying to be available as I can. You wanna contribute, and obviously that didn't happen to the effect that I would have hoped. But I mean, it's things that you live and you learn from, right? At the end of the day, I was still there. I was able to contribute in some capacity. And I don't think that Coach Bowles had any malice in what he was saying.
Dave told us that you and him talked. You don't have to tell us what.
Yeah.
Question about Canales and Godwin having a meeting, a one-on-one meeting.
Yeah, 100%. I think we had a really, really good talk. It was very productive. And I think at the end of the day, we both see eye to eye on it. And I think that at the end of the day, it's going to be a lot better for the team moving forward. I feel comfortable with it, and now it's just a matter of putting the work in and going and executing on them.
Chris, you were a game time decision because of your neck, and I know you said afterwards it's still probably not 100%. Did that factor into the game plan at all?
I don't know if it directly factored into it. I know for me, even though I was a game time decision, when I felt comfortable enough to go. It's let's lock in and let's give it our best shot, right? Y'all know me, I'm gonna go out there and give it my all. Run game, pass game. So it didn't impact my mind at all.
Are you happy with just the usage and the way they're using you right now?
I mean, I think anybody in my position, right, would leave a game with 0 catches. I don't know if they'd be too pleased with that. Mm-hmm. But I think that's just the competitor in me and and the competitor in anybody in this situation.
Dave said he kind of blamed himself. It's kind of it falls on him that he didn't get the calls in there for him.
I mean, it's tough. It's tough being in his position. I understand. It's tough being an offensive coordinator, man. You got a lot of things on your plate, and all you can do is call the plays the best way that you can see it, right? And I think it's something that we all learn from, and I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes from here.
You think part of it's different volume from the slot to the outside?
One more time.
Part of it's different volume from the slot to the outside.
That's a great question. I don't know. I don't necessarily know if it's just a slot to the outside kind of deal. I think it's a completely different offense, and obviously we've had our growing pains and trying to develop the offense. It takes time to build the chemistry and to develop it over the course of the season. But just the overall scheme itself is way different, right? If you look at the previous couple of years, we were probably throwing the ball 40 or 50 times a game. I don't know if we've done that once this year. So just by sheer numbers, targets are definitely going to go down.
Right. And if you look around the league, guys like Jason Waddle,
Mm-hmm.
some of these number 1B type guys.
Yep.
They're covering right around your production.
Yeah.
Is that something that
He's asked about other number 1/2
to be honest, not really. I don't really be checking stats for other guys. I think everybody's different and everyone's situation is different. For me, I just look at it as just trying to be as productive as I can for the team.
Yeah, I don't. Again, I think this thing is totally overblown, but I do think it's a major positive because I think it's kind of a wake-up call for Dave Canales that he's got to get him more involved. I mean, why you would have 2 tight ends on the field, especially with this tight end room? Come on, it just, to me, they're better out of a 3 receiver set with a tight end. I don't know exactly what Canales is trying to do with that, but I would keep. If I go 3 receivers, I got Trey Palmer is clearly an outside guy. He's not. I don't think he's a slot guy, and Godwin is. And you could do so much more with him in the slot. That's why Arians had him in there.
Yeah, it's interesting though. You bring up the other receivers around the league, and especially number 2s around the league, where the number 1 is an elite receiver, and in this case, Mike Evans is that guy for the Bucs. Chris Godwin this year, I think he's gotten 85 targets. I mean, even Brandon Ayuk in San Francisco has 72. Deebo Samuel only has 53. Jalen Waddle.
He was injured. He missed.
Yeah, he was injured. Jalen Waddle, 83. Like, Chris Godwin has actually gotten more targets than most of the wide receiver twos in the league. I mean, he's only trailing Mike Evans in receptions by 8 this
But here's the
season.
thing.
But
He hasn't been a 2 in terms of targets. He's been a co-1.
right.
I mean, the last few years, he's averaged 109 receptions, 1,329 yards. This year, he's on pace for 75 and 858. That's just, and I know it's less than. And here's the thing, this offense is 23rd in the league, and at this point, let's just call it what it is, and this is Todd Bowles telling the Canales he's got to run the ball a certain amount of times per game, and that's just stupid. That you have to take what the defense is giving you, and if it calls for a 40 or 50 pass game, then that's what you do. And in the run game, the pass game can certainly, especially with Chris.
But keep in mind, we talked about this earlier in the year. There's not too many games that Baker Mayfield has won in this league when he's had to throw 40 times or more.
Well, see, I hate looking at the past because that was a different offense, different place, different coordinators, different situations. I can craft 30. If I need to throw 40, I'm not talking about him throwing the ball down the field, 20, 15, 20 yards, 40 times a game. I'm talking about him dropping back and throwing 7 screens instead of 7 more runs up the middle. These are high percentage passes that should be in the 85 to 90% completion range that are an extension of your run game, as opposed to, and many of those could be wide receiver screens to Chris Godwin. They could be jet sweeps to Chris Godwin. They could be shuttle passes to Chris Godwin. And get him on the outside, get him on one-on-one in space. It's a hell of a lot better than sending Rachaad White up the middle behind an offensive line that can't get any push.
I would agree with that.
So I think Canales has to be much more varied, and hopefully he'll get Godwin more involved this week. I mean, because I'm starting him this week in fantasy against John Smoltz with the division title on the line.
Hey, I join you. I join you in the Chris Godwin fan club of get something for us in fantasy here, because he kind of killing me right now.
I'm like, this is a great week for this conversation to be had.
Yeah,
I gotta have him this week.
And again, teams are different, yes, but for the most of his career, Chris Godwin has feasted against the Atlanta Falcons. It's just, for whatever reason, it's an opponent that he's had success against. And hopefully all this talk that's gone on, you will see more of an effort to get this guy the football this week, and let's see what happens. Because I think you're just missing, what you're really missing with Chris Godwin is the splash plays. We're just not seeing the splash plays. It feels like everything he catches is, in front of the sticks, not much room to run like you mentioned. And I think that's what's contributing to the numbers looking like what they are so far.
All right, I want to quickly, and by the way, real quick, we talked about the injuries for this game, and I mean, this is a critical game, obviously, for the Buccaneers, and they've got to be able to run the football and be more balanced. Hainsey, it was limited in the knee with a knee injury, or 2 knee injuries. Maybe we see Nick Leverett. I don't know. Vita Vea has a toe injury and did not participate. Devin White looks like he's not going to play this week. That's good. Servassier Dennis is back at full participation, so we will have Levante and Servassier, which I think is our best linebacker.
I want to see J.J. Russell. I'm not going to lie. J.J. Russell played really well in that game against Carolina. I know it's Carolina, but just comparing him to Devin White, I thought he played better than almost any game Devin White's played all year.
Oh, I would agree with that.
Personally. If we're in the interest of rewarding guys for good play, I know Servassier is the higher rated player, and I understand Servassier played well too when he was in there, and that's not a bad problem to have, but I kind of want to see J.J. Russell a little bit.
Hey, no sense in not putting them both out there,
Right. I don't know. I mean, see what you have.
If Vita Vea doesn't play, forget about it. It's over. They're going to run for 200 yards if Vita Vea doesn't play.
And Atlanta, for their faults, is starting to get Bijan Robinson going.
Yeah, and he didn't play.
He didn't play when they ran for 150 on this team.
Now, Drew Dahlman, their center, is questionable this week, and if he can't play, that's a big hit on them. Also, their right tackle also is limited. I'm forgetting his name. I'm missing his name. He's not listed on the. Yeah, Caleb McGarry. There he is. He did not participate and may miss the game as well. So they're down 2 starting offensive linemen, and Onyemata didn't practice. Looks like he might not be able to go. And A.J. Terrell is in concussion protocol. So they've got some really, really key injuries. There's no reason. Well, there's lots of different reasons. This Buccaneers team has every opportunity to go up there and win this game. And, are they going to? No, I don't think they are. I don't think they'll make the requisite plays in the run game. I think they'll get out coached again. They probably won't play with the energy and the urgency that they need to play with because, at a full participation across the board, because that's the way that's the culture of this team. So we'll see. But they have an opportunity. There's no reason they shouldn't win this game. There's no reason they shouldn't.
And what's crazy is so much about the outlook of the season changes. And I know we've had this discussion before about what good is it to win the division and get stomped by Dallas again in the wild card. And if you win the division, that I'm telling you right now, that's what's going to happen.
Exactly.
And then you're just going to kind of be in no man's place when it comes to the draft and all that again, which is hard to make your team better then.
Right.
But hey, if they win this game, somehow they're first place in the division.
Yeah.
I mean, that's – and you look around, I mean, Atlanta's not playing good football right now. They had to squeak by the Jets with Tim Boyle playing quarterback last week, right? And they won that game 13-8, ugly. The Saints, I think, are clearly just – that team's dead. That team's completely dead. I mean, so the Bucs, in a weird way, they're right there. Yeah. But do I have confidence in them that they can build on this? Like, I keep asking myself this week when I'm, like, trying to think if they can win this game, are they good enough to string together just 2 straight victories right now?
And they've got to win 4 down the stretch to win the division. I mean, come on.
Right, and they still got to go to Lambeau to play the Packers, which that looks like your toughest game because all of a sudden Jacksonville, depending on what happens with Trevor Lawrence, I mean, I have to think he'll probably be back by then. But I think the Bucs will hang tight in that game more so than you might think because I think Jacksonville's a little bit of a pretender this year. But that Lambeau game's going to be tough. And then you still got to play New Orleans again. And even though I just said I think they're dead, I mean, it's hard. It's still hard to win 2 against New Orleans any season.
I don't think they're going to be favored in any of these games. And you're telling me they're going to win 4 out of 5, as an underdog? No,
I don't see it. No, I just don't see it.
Happening.
But I don't see any of these other teams doing it on their schedules either. So
I mean, same. But we look at the Bucs and I don't see it. Hey, we're going to have Corey Long coming up here, and we'll definitely be getting into the Florida State stuff. But I wanted to get into a little bit more because there have been some developments, and as the week goes on, many more guys are stepping to the mic, coaches, people around college football, and commenting on what happened to Florida State. I would say yesterday on the Twitter front, one of the things that was making the rounds was the fact that I've all week long I've been making the connection between how ESPN ordered this hit as a political payback to Florida State for trying to dissolve the ACC, get out of their rights deal with ESPN, which would have cost ESPN hundreds of millions of dollars. And then Feinbaum saying everybody hates Florida State because of that, meaning ESPN. And as I said, when you come for the king, you better not miss. And FSU went for it for ESPN, and they missed. And what happens? Well, you get your head put on a stake outside the committee room door. And that's what happened. That was a political hit job. None of the protocols that have ever been unprecedented, just discussed and discarding of protocols in this instance. And now everybody is jumping up there and saying, look at the connection between ESPN and Boo Corrigan. His brother, Tim, is who? The executive vice president of production at ESPN. And NC State, by the way, was one of those teams that could have easily left the ACC for the Big Ten or the SEC, made $30 to $40 million more if the ACC dissolved like FSU wanted to, get out of the rights agreement that's holding everybody back. And they were one of the teams that didn't go. Who's their athletic director? Boo Corrigan. It's all coming together now. And you can see that this has nothing to do with Jordan Travis being hurt. The ESPN narrative started well before that even happened and has everything to do with an ESPN political agenda hit job on FSU. The first team, undefeated Power 5 team, by the way, that wasn't given a college game day for a home or away game. So that's where, to me, it's no question about it. That's what happened. It's disgusting. It's despicable. And something needs to be done about it.
And by the way, a lot of people keep saying, get over it. Stop talking about it. It's over. Listen, I'm not going to get over it. And it has nothing to do with FSU, by the way, of why I'm not going to get over it. I'm not going to get over it because FSU is not the first team to get screwed out of the chance of playing for a national championship under the various systems that have been in place for college football. I know a lot of people are bringing up the whole West Virginia 1993. I wasn't alive, so
I covered that FSU team, and that FSU team was one of the greatest teams of all time.
Right. I know people are bringing up the Miami in 2000, which I'm not going to sit here and not act like that's not a real thing, because I think it was.
Yeah.
Auburn in 2004.
Yeah. Just because other teams have gotten screwed doesn't make this one okay.
Well, that's what I'm saying. My point is, clearly for 2 years in a row, they're not the first team to get screwed out of the playoff, and that's why I'm not going to stop talking about it, because it's not an FSU issue. It's a college football issue. And unless something changes dramatically, which I have no reason to think that it will, why would it at this point? Every team's going to continue to get screwed going forward if you're not in the SEC or the Big Ten, because I know the 12-team playoff is going to change some things. Whereas if you win your conference and you're in a Power 5, you're going to get an automatic berth. But I can't help but think, I can't help but think the other spots that are going to get filled by the at-large bid, by the in-large bids or whatever they call them. I can't help but think that most of those spots are going to be taken up by the SEC and Big Ten teams.
Of course.
And if these ACC teams or these Big 12 teams lose like 2 or 3 games, they're gonna dock them more than the other teams that lose 2 or 3 games in the SEC and Big Ten, because that's where the perception is that they're playing better teams. And
exactly. The bias.
I think that's what I'm saying. Like, this is some part of this is going to continue still in the future with the 12-team playoff. There's no way around it.
Absolutely. And the transparency has got to be better. And I've said this all week long. There's no reason for this to be a secret ballot behind closed doors, and people don't even next to each other don't even know who they're voting for. That's ridiculous. And if you're going to have a committee like this, you can't put a bunch of people on this committee that have no freaking idea what they're talking
You need people that are full-time on that committee, that are in the game and following it,
Yes.
completely and can speak on this.
Trophies and bullshit appointments all over that committee, and conflict of interest, for God's sakes, conflict of interest everywhere. I mean, it's ridiculous, that committee, and to put the hands of these players and everything that they put into this game into these people's hands, and then to not know who's voting and why they're voting. Come on, man.
Remember the inaugural committee when, what was it, Condoleezza Rice was on the...
Come on. What are we doing? And that's not a gender thing. It's like...
It's just what is she... Like, what... It has nothing to do with their gender or anything, but, like, these are the people that we're putting in power to judge football games and judge a playoff.
Look, if this is a committee on eligibility and expenditures and... the direction of college football, and you want a president of a university, of course, you would want there. Of course, it's not what this is.
Yeah.
This is about football. It's about hardcore football and knowing it. So if you're not in the game, if you haven't coached it or played it, and an administrator, what the hell does an AD know about it? Get the hell out of here. It's either coaches or players. That's it. I'm not interested in anybody else being on the committee. If they are tasked to find the best and most deserving teams, what the F is anybody doing on that committee that's an athletic director or some type of why? Because they're the most easy to corrupt? Yeah, okay. That's why they're on there. All these political appointments, yeah, because they know corruption. They know how to handle it when the code red is ordered. Yeah, they're susceptible to big money mega corporations having their way. That's the way they've lived their lives and climbed the ladder. So yeah, let's get as many of them on as we can, because it's so much easier to corrupt. Jesus. I mean, it's so stupid that you can't even imagine it. Oh yeah, let's get ADs and college presidents on the board. For what? Whatever. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, Corey Long is going to join us. We've been chatting with him about college football all year long. Been covering it for years and years and years for Walter Football. Also covers the Bolts. We'll chat with him and get into all things college football and hockey. Talk a little Bucs maybe as well. Stay with us.
Show. Fitz the Mortgage Guy did it again. A listener heard his ad, was going to another big bank, but called Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services of Tampa, and Fitz saved him $618 on his monthly payment. Are you kidding me? Folks, that's big money. Rates are going up, they're going down, they're going all over the place. Scott will shop your loan and save you lender fees and get the best rates. Email him, scott@amstampa.com, or call 813-294-7595. That's Fitz the Mortgage Guy. Lots of stuff going on right now, and these rates are going all over the place. You need somebody knowledgeable in the market that will work hard for you and get you the best deal. That's my man, Scott. He's done 3 loans for me, done thousands of loans for local folks here, works with a lot of the coaches and players in the area. He's the guy. 813-294-7595, or go to scott@amstampa.com. Have any old coins sitting around the house? Well, the Golden Diamond Source will purchase a variety of different types of coins and bullion. Their gold buying program includes sterling silver, silver, platinum, and watches. They also accept unusual pieces that other jewelry stores do not, such as gold bars and sterling silver flatware. The list of items they do accept is far more extensive than those they don't, so check it out. While you're there, you can check out the largest collection of any family-owned jewelry store in the country, especially with summer coming to an end. The holidays are right around the corner. Never too early to start your holiday shopping, especially if you're planning on getting engaged or have any birthdays or anniversaries coming up. Come on in and find out what buying jewelry should be like with an expert staff of gold and diamond jewelry enthusiasts. And the best part, they treat you like family. And if you're worrying about price, don't. The Golden Diamond Source has something for everyone's budget. They even have a layaway. If you stop in and get your favorite piece now, you can have it paid off by Christmas. Plus, you can even finance your purchase with 0% interest for up to 5 years, and you can get a $5,000 diamond for only $83 a month. It's the greatest folks in the world, Julie and Steve Weintraub, the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Olmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com.
JP here for my good friends at Italiano Insurance, and they did it again. Once again, Italiano Insurance stepping up with the best customer service. I was in a bind. My old insurance company, my auto insurance, jacked up my rates, so I called Charity at Italiano Insurance, and she stayed till 9:30 at night until she got my insurance done. And guess what? She searched all these companies for me. I didn't do the work. She did. Saved me $1,000 on my annual premium. $1,000, folks. That's real money. And that's what you get at Italiano Insurance. Great customer service. And here's another note for you, by the way, with hurricane season up. 40% of people in Florida are underinsured. That means if you have something happen during a hurricane and you need replacement costs, you're going to get 40% less than you deserve. Can't let that happen. Call the folks at Italiano Insurance and get them to help you out in both those regards. They will save you money and keep you insured properly. That's 813-877-7799. Great folks in the community, been doing it for over 60 years. Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799.
Pure Sports. JP is back on.
Welcome back.
FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you guys jumping in here each and every day in the comment section. We'll get to that in just a second. We've had a great increase in numbers over the past of this football season. We thank you guys, and to be able to do what we do, and it means a lot to me. I had a guy the other day come up to me in the at Amalie Arena and just say, "Hey, listen to your show every day. Really love what you do." I think it's Frank. I hope I'm not screwing up the name. And wants to advertise on the show, has a business in Clearwater, and it's always humbling to hear somebody say that, listen every day. And I'm like, wow, that's really cool. So thank you guys for allowing us to do what we do here each and every day. All right, let's welcome in our good friend Corey Long, who's written for Walter Football, writes, covers the Bucs, covers the Bolts for NHL.com. What's up, Corey? How are you?
I'm doing well. How you guys doing?
I know you've been chomping at the bit to get on this very popular program to jump in on. Tell me what's up on this college football game that you love so much that has been bastardized by these a-holes at ESPN. Your thoughts?
I guess as, the week's gone on, you have different emotions, and, it goes like, well, we saw each other Sunday for the Bucs game, and it's just kind of like, everything is still real fresh. You don't know, why anything was done. And now, by the end of the week, it's just more frustration with, the overall system, and just the fact that they don't really have any standards for doing what they do. And I wish they did. And I wish you could get a real clear answer. I wish, I guess that's the one thing when you look back and why did they pick this team over that team? Well, just give you a clear answer, whether you like the answer or not. Just say this is honestly how we felt. But it's, you don't get that. You get a lot of double talk. You get a lot of, they're not the same team they were at the beginning of the season, like any team is. Right. Or that, that there's this and that. Well, we had the problem is that, they use so many bad hypotheticals, and no one can tell me that they took Florida State as a team and under consideration. If they actually looked at that team top to bottom, the players, the defense, everything they do, they took them on. They can't say. They can just only tell me that quarterback's injured, offense didn't look as good. Third stringer offense looks even worse. Well, we can't use these guys, and that was it.
Yeah,
it wasn't how they wanted, and that's the unfortunate part. Is that when you look back and realize, well, these guys could have done anything and it wouldn't have mattered. They really could have done anything. They could have won the game 30-6, and it probably wouldn't have mattered. They would have figured out something else. So it's you sit here and it'll expand to 12. So there's this situation won't happen again. Like the Florida State won't. Any team won't be 12-0, 13-0, and be have an opportunity to win a championship taken away from them. But at the same time, like I told you when we were just sitting in Amalie Arena chatting, the problem with the expansion is the same thing. They've told you that their standards are basically whatever suits them at that moment. So it's okay. And I'll take, I know you got some UCF people. If UCF is the second best team in the Big 12 and they go 10-2, and, South Carolina goes 8-4, they're going South Carolina, they did have that, they had that win over Tennessee that was really impressive. So whatever, it's just.
Also through seeding, even in the 12 team. If they would have taken, if this happens next year and they jump FSU and put them into a first round game against some dangerous opponent instead of getting them out, that's a big difference too. That's a huge difference.
Yeah, I could see them being okay, we'll put them in, but we'll throw them in at the 6th seed. Now, who are we going to throw them against? And it's just going to be let's get that rematch against LSU. They're fine. That should be fine. It was a great game the first time. So it's just
we'll continue.
Yeah, and isn't it telling, Corey? I've listened to all these coaches and players this week all speak on this, and you have the best player in the sport, Jaden Daniels, come up there and say that it's about ratings and money and all that. Even my head coach, Gus Malzahn, said, hey, I'm not buying the excuse about the quarterback, thought it was a travesty. Eli Drinkwitz, an SEC coach, comes out and says it. It seems like on the surface, every coach, player that is not tied to a network or something like that agrees that what happened over the weekend was an absolute travesty to the sport.
Yeah. And because, the bottom, there's so many things that, we can look at. And the first thing is, they have everything is all very secretive. So you don't know anything. Who's taking a phone call? Who's getting a text message? Who's getting a deposit alert in their bank account? You don't know any of these things. So I think the first step is, you'd like for this discussion to be made public. You really would. Let the cameras in there. and it just, I mean, this is ESPN. This is their big show. Let them run it. Let them have their cameras in there. Let's get some hot mics on here. Let's see what they're actually saying, so we can at least put opinion to person. And it's fine that we all have a difference of opinion on something. That's okay. Exactly. What I don't like is how they're going the whole idea that we have to move the goalpost as we see fit from time. We don't have any real standards. There's no real way to look. Like you said, well, this is what they looked at in this situation. Well, why didn't they look at it in that situation? Well, it didn't really apply there. So it's all, it's just unfortunate because we look at this now and it's like, man, the system that we dealt with in the 70s and 80s that, really wasn't so bad. At least people knew where they were going, Yeah. At least you knew if you won your conference, you were going here. You won you were going there. Oh, these two, 1 versus 2 aren't going to play this year. Oh, well, tough luck. We'll figure it out after the games are over. And and a bunch of AP writers and a bunch of coaches and a bunch of writers that were part of the UPI poll or whatever. They'll just figure out. They'll give away their national championship. And you know what? At the end of the day, no one was really any worse for it.
Well, I
no
think
one was really any worse for it.
You know what, Corey? I lived through those days, and I'll say
I did too.
Though you did, absolutely. But we used to bitch about it all the time. It's like, why are these people deciding the national championship? Why are we doing it this way? And that's what gave us the BCS. That's what gave us the computer rankings. And then it gave way to this playoff system, which we all wanted a playoff. But no, I don't remember anybody clamoring to have a bunch of suits sitting on a committee that know nothing about football deciding who gets in. When did that ever become was okay?
I never understood why we had to give up the BCS to get a playoff. Like, the BCS was fine.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, the BCS was fine. Like, okay, these rankings, these numbers are fine. Let's just take more than 2 of them. Let's throw 4 or 8 of them out there. Let's still, but no, like, the minute as all right, you want to play off? Well, here's the deal. We're going to just basically, it's going to become the most subjective thing ever now. So, oh, God.
And when you look at how they put the whole thing together in retrospect, it's like, let's just say I was an ESPN suit and I wanted to make sure I could control the situation. You know what I'd do? I'd say, tell you what, here's what we'll do. We'll come up with a blue ribbon committee, which of course we will handpick and be able to control at our whim. We'll put them in a private room, right? And we'll say it's because we don't want them to be, we want them to be completely impartial. So we'll make it anonymous in a private room, and it won't have it. And then I know what we'll do. We'll have a show every week where the guy comes out and tells us what's going on behind closed doors. So everybody will watch that. So we'll get more programming and more money from that. And then at the end of the year, we'll have this big show where we can do a reveal, and then we'll make even more money on those ratings. Everybody's always like, yeah, man. Well, that doesn't sound like a really good, fair way to do it. There's not much Who gives a crap, man? We can make more money and we can control the whole damn thing. Yeah, I vote for that. Who the hell approved this whole idea? This was ESPN's idea because they're holding the money, the golden rule. Whoever makes the gold makes the rules. And this is what they wanted. They wanted to be able to control it, and that's exactly what they did. I mean, it's so many conflicts of interest to here that it's ridiculous. And for people who say, well, why do politicians have to get involved in all this stuff? This is just grandstanding. To some degree, there's part of it. But there's millions and millions and millions of dollars at stake here for the Florida State University system. So, yes, the state of Florida, FSU, has a vested interest monetarily in what the hell happened here, to the tune of millions and millions of dollars. They say that a national championship is worth over $100 million in donations. More. I mean, that's a lot of freaking money, folks. So it's not just
you start looking at
there's a lot of
the merchandise sales, everything. I mean, there's a lot of money to be made when you can print out a lot of merchandise that says your school is a national champion. There's a lot of money that can be made off of merchandise sales alone. So, I mean, now, the other flip side is, the ACC leadership. I don't even want to call it leadership. It's just like how
nice, but
how
Corey, people think this is it's Jim Phillips. He's compromised.
well,
He's in ESPN's
all
back
right.
pocket. He was told to shut the F up.
So was Greg. You know what? The thing is, so was Greg Sankey. Greg, like the bottom line is, put on a show for me. And if you're Jim Phillips, like if you're anybody, like, all right, I know what the end game's going to be. Can I still put on a show for them though? So they think I'm, But I think the bottom line is with this is that why has the ACC leadership always been so bad? Even before they were in ESPN's back pocket.
Yeah.
True. It's the most passive aggressive group of people. Like they live to get run over. They lost their sport. Their sport was basketball. They got hijacked from the sport that made them what they are.
Yeah. Yeah. Just sat there and watched it happen. Yeah.
Just sat there and watched it happen. The Big East didn't let Big East basketball just die. Like even when everybody stripped everything away, you know what? We'll figure out a new way.
Yeah.
And not the ACC. They will. I mean, they let their. I mean, this is why. This is why it feels very simple. It's just like you can just see it, like hear the phone calls like Greg Sankey to Jim Phillips. Keep your mouth shut, and we'll let your conference survive for just a little bit longer.
Yeah.
How much longer you want to let your conference survive for? You better not say anything. Just throw out a little statement, act like you're mad, and
exactly.
We'll stay away for another year or two.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, all this stuff aside of what took place, I did want to talk about what happened on the field, if that still is something that matters nowadays. Because we had discussions with you in the preseason, and I have to ask you now for an update, Corey. Are you ready to put some respect on Adam Fuller's name after the defensive showing that his defense put out the entire season, and now got an extension out of it?
Yeah, he had they know what, the defense is very good this year. There's no question about that. They did a very good job at getting the right guys to fit what they wanted to do. There's still a lot of questions I have, but I don't think you can recruit for Jack. But, he was able, through the portal and through other means, he was able to definitely get the players he needed. It was it's a great situation when they come out and have a very experienced, senior-laden group that all seem to be on the same page. They always made plays. Whenever they needed to lean on the defense answered. So, yeah, I give that unit credit. I give him credit for doing it. I'll always have questions about him just because I just don't think he's particularly a great coordinator or anything, but he had great defense. They did and this year they did a great job. And, I wasn't the only one that had question marks about Adam Fuller, okay?
You weren't.
So let's relax there.
I agree.
But he had a great year, Gene Chizik won a national title too. So, everybody can have a great year. But I know seriously, I think, he had a good year, and I think they did a lot of very good things on defense this year. And what they really did in the conference championship game is going to stand out because Jeff Brom is a damn good coach, and he's been running good offenses for a long time, and they got absolutely smothered, and that's credit to him. That's credit to him. So Louisville tried every trick in the book, and nothing worked.
Yeah, so, that was a virtuoso defensive performance the last 2 weeks. And that's why I think so many football people scoff at this whole thing, because they know when you're a coach and you're able to coach around injuries. Now, had somebody in the committee that told FSU that the goalposts were moved, and of course, I don't think any of this is pertinent because I think it was a hit job, but their stupid reason about the offense and everything, if they had told Mike Norvell, hey, we're moving the goalposts, you got to score 35 points in this game in order for us to take you, okay? Because we got to see some offense. So we're just going to tell you that right now. Then Mike Norvell would have said, oh, Okay, well, then we're going to have them throw the ball down the field. We got no chance, right? Right? We got no choice. We have to do. They just moved the goalpost on us, so we're going to. Hey, we wouldn't normally do this because we can win this game on defense and we can manage the game but now I've just been told that the goalposts were moved. They've never done this before, so I'm going to try to throw the ball downfield. And of course, that wouldn't have worked because he knows better and he knows how to coach a football team. So, and that's where it sucks so bad is nobody. I mean, I did say in the last week, remember me saying this, I think FSU is going to need some style points. So they better start Brock Glenn, and hopefully he's better than Tate Rodemaker. And I was wrong as far as Brock Glenn goes because he was worse. But
yeah, they should have started Lawrence Toafili because at least they scored with him taking snaps. And credit to Lawrence, the Pinellas Park kid. Very proud of him. Very, very proud of him for the efforts that he's put in. And I think the biggest shame is that they did not believe that staff could figure out in a month how to do something, how to do some things, how to make a game competitive. That they didn't have the coaches or the talent to make a game competitive against anybody, whether it was Michigan or Washington or whatever. Like they couldn't, and that is laughable. Like I certainly can sit around here and say that, hey, the team has some strengths, the team has some flaws. I'm not crazy about their offensive line, but and obviously the quarterback situation was what it was. But every team has flaws. There's not a team in there that's perfect. I mean, because two of them have a loss, so that tells me they're not perfect to start with. And Michigan, God bless them. I'm not going to be one of those people that's going to slam Michigan because you know what? They were undefeated. They were the same boat as FSU. They don't, I can't decide that they don't deserve it. But, they've got issues on offense. They're not a great offensive team. Not close to it.
No.
Not close to it.
I don't know what Michigan is because they haven't been tested at all.
Ohio State.
Ohio State.
Yeah, Ohio State. Yeah, Ohio State was a good football team. I think Penn State is a decent football team, not great, but I also think that Michigan thought enough of them that they ran the ball like 34 times in a row on them. It was like, they're good, but they're also Penn State, so we can just. At the end of the day, I tell people I'm kind of rooting for Michigan because if Michigan beats Alabama, it really makes the committee look stupid. And all we need is that Alabama win. Like, I see, we told you we were doing the right things. So,
I never thought of it as Alabama over FSU. To be honest with you, I think Alabama's a pretty good team. I would look at some other teams. I think Michigan is. If you're not gonna look at wins and losses, you're not gonna look at the undefeated record, then why not look at Michigan? Compare Michigan's resume to FSU's, and FSU's resume is clearly better.
Yeah, if you're not going to look at the record, you look at if you're not looking at what's on the field, like Michigan's resume isn't good. I thought Texas by far had the worst opposition in the conference title games. I mean, Oklahoma State team that, you saw what UCF did to the boys.
South Alabama.
South Alabama. I mean, that was I give Oklahoma State credit. They won Bedlam and said, you know what, season's over. Forget the rest of it. They were like me as a New York Knicks fan, I would have felt the way the Knicks won the in-season tournament. I'd have been like, you know what, we're done. We got a trophy. To hell with the rest of this stuff. So so it's It's like I feel about the Lightning game last night. I want to move on at this point. I want to move on to signing day in the off season and see where the NIL and stuff takes us. See who signs where. Florida State needs a quarterback, man. They need a quarterback. Yeah, I got a question.
They got a choice of a few, actually, right now.
I got a choice of a few, but none of them are in house. Is the problem.
Exactly. And it's not a bad problem to have. Everybody's knocking on your door. If Cam Ward and Riley Leonard and Uyunglele are knocking on your door, so be it. Go grab one because I don't think. I don't want to kill Brock Glenn because that's a tough situation or Rodemaker.
No, Brock Glenn, I don't want to kill. We know what Tate Rodemaker is, and he's been around. Tate's been around a long time. He ain't no good.
But if we could have a bridge to Brock Glenn, sophomore season or junior season, I would take that. If Cam Ward wants to come to FSU and you can get him, you go get him. No question.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly. Yeah, I mean, Cam Ward, DJU. I thought DJU put together a very good season at Oregon. I know I no longer blame him for Clemson being a disaster. So it's like, and I'd love for him to come back and have some vengeance. That would be kind of fun. Like the DJU revenge tour would be kind of a fun little storyline, I think.
I think it's interesting, though. These teams go from the ACC and the SEC, where there's, NFL defensive players all over the place, to the Pac-12, and suddenly they're great quarterbacks. Bo Nix, Uiagalelei. So I'll put I'll pump the brakes a little bit on that.
Yeah, but Jaden Daniels came from Arizona State.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, you get it on both ways. You get it both ways. By the way, how did that ESPN Bo Nix Heisman campaign work out for him?
I think there was also a little bit of Oregon campaign. Remember, Herb Street?
Oh my God!
Yeah, for a month he was telling us Oregon was going to jump FSU. That was their original plan.
I mean, it wasn't that Oregon. I mean, it was like they're going to win the Pac-12 top. We're not even worried about that. They're going to just beat Washington to smithereens the second time. The first game basically didn't happen. It's like you mean if you actually play these things out on the field, something different than what your eyes tell you might actually happen.
Yeah, James mentioned FSU has a 5-star quarterback coming in. His name escapes me right now,
Luke Kromeyer.
Yeah, Kromeyer. I'll still take it.
Kroman the Hawk. This is Kroman Halleck, I think.
A seasoned veteran over a true freshman any day of the week.
Right now, as good of a job as Mike Norvell did, there isn't a single quarterback that he's recruited that has shown anything yet. So I'm not going to buy any of them. So these kids have got to develop.
AJ Duffy was that kid, and he's gone.
He's missed that, Chubba Purdy. You see how awful he was at Nebraska, and that other kid. Yeah, so he needs. That's one area they really could use some. They could use some fortune with the in-house quarterback. I mean, the good thing is the portal does kind of save you from that, because hey, we can still get good ones out of the portal, but you'd like for I guess that if there's any disappointment, you would have liked to have seen more from Rodemaker, given it was his 4th year in the program.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Tough situation all at Florida, though.
Tough situation all around, I guess. It's at the end of the day, 13-0, pretty good season,
Hey,
what are you gonna say?
Maybe it'll be 14-0. They'll beat Georgia, and the AP and the coaches poll will name FSU number 1. And then we'll hang a banner, mint the rings, and say "FU College Football Playoff." Alabama, congratulations! You're the champion of the beauty contest. But we won the national championship. Go FSU.
You won the eye test. You won the eye test power ranking title. Yeah, hey,
you won the corruption.
USC
for you.
Yeah. USC did it. I don't see why Florida State can't do it. So hopefully they'll go in there and their best. I mean, I don't know who's going to play, who's going to opt out, whatever. But it should be. I think if enough kids play, it'll be a fun game. If enough kids decide to play. I know Johnny Wilson opted out. I'll assume Keon Coleman's not going to play. On the other side, I would assume Brock Bowers isn't going to play. He's not really healthy right now, so I don't think it would behoove him to play. So that's a thankful. That's a miss. You'll be glad. That's a game you'll be glad to miss. I don't want to see a healthy Brock Bowers. Adam Fuller might have his extension yanked if he has to deal with a healthy Brock Bowers all game. So.
All right, Corey, great stuff, my man. Always good to chat with you. We'll see you at Amalie or Bucs soon. Thanks, buddy.
Yes, absolutely. You take care. I'll see you in a couple of weeks, it seems like.
Yeah, when the Bucs season's already over. Thanks. All right. Yeah, absolutely. Happy holidays and all that good stuff, my man. Appreciate it. I want to remind you folks that it is the holiday season, right? So no better time to get engaged than the holiday season. And where better to do that than the Gold and Diamond Source? Get that special ring. I was over there the other day. Boy, they got some bling on that place, man. It is really lit up and beautiful over there. And they got the greatest staff there to help you pick your ring, keep it in your budget. By the way, Only natural diamonds, folks. There's a lot of talk about these fake diamonds. No woman wants that. They want the real thing. It takes billions of years to form a natural diamond. And the factory 2 weeks ago, no, that's not what you want. Get a real diamond at the Golden Diamond stores. And you don't want to go to the Mall Madness, right? And have to do all the parking. They got plenty of parking at the Golden Diamond stores, plenty of room inside there. You'll feel like you're dealing with an army of people that will be helping you out. And they have the Emily collection from Emily Johnson Weintraub, which is affordable gold and diamond jewelry that will always check the stylish and unique boxes there. Emily has created this fashion-forward gold, diamond, and gemstone jewelry line, ideal for everyday wear. Each piece is designed to enhance your look by featuring eye-catching, modern geometrical shapes. And don't forget, for the holidays only, 3 to 5 year interest-free financing, right? With your credit cards at 29%, why not get some interest-free financing? That'll work too. And the holiday season, make sure it's the Golden Diamond Source, as we always say, folks. Keep it local. If you can shop local during the holidays, don't do that Amazon thing. Go to the Golden Diamond Source and shop local and keep everything in-house. Steve and Julie do a great job with all their philanthropy. So let's keep it all in the family here at the Golden Diamond Source. Quick break. When we come back, we'll talk some more Bucs. We'll get into last night's Bolts game as well. A little bit of controversy there. Lots of news around the NFL. Coming up next. Stay with us.
Any old coins sitting around the house? Well, the Golden Diamond Source will purchase a variety of different types of coins and bullion. Their gold buying program includes sterling silver, silver, platinum, and watches. They also accept unusual pieces that other jewelry stores do not, such as gold bars and sterling silver flatware. The list of items they do accept is far more extensive than those they don't, so check it out. While you're there, you can check out the largest collection of any family-owned jewelry store in the country, especially with summer coming to an end. The holidays are right around the corner. Never too early to start your holiday shopping, especially if you're planning on getting engaged or have any birthdays or anniversaries coming up. Come on in and find out what buying jewelry should be like with an expert staff of gold and diamond jewelry enthusiasts. And the best part, they treat you like family. And if you're worrying about price, don't. The Golden Diamond Source has something for everyone's budget. They even have a layaway. If you stop in and get your favorite piece now, you can have it paid off by Christmas. Plus, you can even finance your purchase with 0% interest for up to 5 years, and you can get a $5,000 diamond for only $83 a month. It's the greatest folks in the world, Julie and Steve Weintraub, the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Olmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com.
JP here for my good friends at Italiano Insurance, and they did it again. Once again, Italiano Insurance stepping up with the best customer service. I was in a bind. My old insurance company, my auto insurance, jacked up my rates, so I called Charity at Italiano Insurance, and she stayed till 9:30 at night until she got my insurance done. And guess what? She searched all these companies for me. I didn't do the work. She did. Saved me $1,000 on my annual premium. $1,000, folks. That's real money. And that's what you get at Italiano Insurance. Great customer service. And here's another note for you, by the way, with hurricane season up. 40% of people in Florida are underinsured. That means if you have something happen during a hurricane and you need replacement cost, you're going to get 40% less than you deserve. Can't let that happen. Call the folks at Italiano Insurance and get them to help you out in both those regards. They will save you money and keep you insured properly. That's 813-877-7799. Great folks in the community, been doing it for over 60 years. Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799.
All right. Well, Fitz the mortgage guy did it again. A listener heard his ad, was going to another big bank, but called Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services of Tampa, and Fitz saved him $618 on his monthly payment. Are you kidding me? Folks, that's big money. Rates are going up, they're going down, they're going all over the place. Scott will shop your loan and save you lender fees and get the best rates. Email him, scott@amstampa.com, or call 813-294-7595. That's Fitz the mortgage guy. Lots of stuff going on right now, and these rates are going all over the place. You need somebody knowledgeable in the market that will work hard for you and get you the best deal. That's my man, Scott. He's done 3 loans for me, done thousands of loans for local folks here, works with a lot of the coaches and players in the area. He's the guy. 813-294-7595, or go to scott@amstampa.com.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show with JP.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here. We thank you so much for joining us. Big game coming up this week, Bucs and Falcons, with the Bucs season on the line and the Falcons season on the line. This is it for the NFC South for all intents and purposes. So we welcome in our good friend Brian Finneran, longtime Falcons receiver, longtime radio superstar in Atlanta, joining us here. I was on his show earlier this morning, and Brian, I'm sure you were shocked at how negative I was on our Buccaneers, but just trying to keep it real. My friend. How are you?
You kept it as real as it gets, buddy. For a second, I looked over at Joe, and we got done interviewing you, and I said, JP sounds like us earlier in the season when we talked about our Falcons. Bad coaching, bad quarterback play, terrible decisions, can't get anything done, can't take advantage of opportunities. I mean, you laid it out, buddy. It made me feel better about our chances this weekend.
Yeah, well, I'm just it's what I see. It's what I've seen all year long, and it's just I sometimes I'm amazed that in the NFL it can be this bad from a coaching standpoint because so many just elementary things like challenging plays that need to be challenged, taking timeouts in the first half to gain an extra possession is something that Bowles just never does. And I'm sure you guys have been. I think I've seen some stuff in the Atlanta media along those lines as well.
Yeah, no doubt. Timeouts at times have been an issue. Our road, I'm glad we're at home this time. We have not been a good road team under Arthur Smith. And part of that's because of quarterback play, but the other part is decision-making, deferring, taking 2-for-1s at the end of halves and in the beginning of the next second half. So we're dealing with the same type of stuff. I do watch some of the All-22 after the game and watch the footage. And there's some plays, JP, like, it's coached the same everywhere. Like if you do a toss right, we used to call it like 18 toss crack. The one thing you can't do as an end man on the line of scrimmage is go upfield because you got to crack down on the defensive end who's lined up on the down. And I watched one of our tight ends just go upfield, let him ruin the whole play, come up. So some of it's on players, some of it's on coaches, and it does say a lot about what's getting through these players' heads, I think.
Yeah, and when you see like this, we pick on Devin White because it's so easy. When you see like the same mistakes, like basic mistakes, time and time again, I believe it was in the Atlanta game when Devin White came up on Ritter when it came off his man before he had crossed the line of scrimmage. I mean, this is stuff they teach you in freaking Pee Wee. You don't leave your man until the quarterback crosses the line of scrimmage, and it ends in it turns into a 44-yard play or whatever the hell it was. And it's a huge reason they lose the game. And it's the same guy making the same mistakes week in and week out. And I don't know if certainly it's on the player, but it's also on the coach. Like, are you going to keep putting that guy out there in key situations?
Yeah.
I got news for you. It ain't going to change.
You're exactly right. And it can be both ways, JP. Like, I'll never forget when Mike Smith was our head coach and Mike Malarkey was our offensive coordinator. There's so much attention to detail. Yes. It's like you were terrified to jump off sides or not line up on the outside edge of the numbers because that's how the route is supposed to start, and it helps the route spacing and everything else. Like, I'm not sure how much attention to detail is coached up anymore. Like, are you terrified on the field if you're going to mess something up, or you just some guys just freelance and it hurts the rest of the team?
Is that an erosion of standards across the league? Because you mentioned it like that. I remember it just seems to me like 10, 15, going back to the Bucs Super Bowl original season. I mean, you talk to Derek Brooks, and that's one of the things that he always mentioned, a maniacal attention to detail. Sean Payton in Denver, the first few weeks they look like shit. And then, the coach, the players are like, yeah, when he came in here, he kept talking about the details. And we're like, geez, guy, like, what the hell? And then we finally understood, okay, this is the reason you win and the reason you lose. And you see it all over the league.
You do. I think there's part of it. I think lack of practice time, lack of practice with pads on, and then lack of attention to detail. There's no question that it has some kind of an effect. But when I tell you with Smitty, we knew, and that's why Matt Ryan became so good at fourth quarter comebacks and 2-minute drills, because we had it down pat. Everybody knew where to be in the right exact spot in the right moment. There's 11 guys that have to do their job perfectly for a play to work great, and it's not happening across the league.
Totally agree. Let's dive in a little bit on the Falcons injuries. What can you tell me about the key injuries, especially along the offensive line? What are you hearing?
Yeah, Caleb McGarry dealing with an ankle. He's going to be questionable. I don't know if he'll play this week or not. So that's an issue. Although we had a guy come in last week, Storm, and fill in nicely. And then Drew Dahlman. Whenever you have a center situation, guy who touches the football every single time and snaps it to your quarterback, and he's a little banged up right now with his knee. But it looks like he was limited in practice yesterday, back on the field again today. So the hope is that Dahlman will be ready to go. McGarry's still questionable. The big one, JP, is our defensive backfield, having to deal with Chris Godwin and obviously Mike Evans and A.J. Terrell out with a concussion is what it looks like. He's in concussion protocol right now. Took a big hit from the running back in New York from the Jets, Breece Hall. And they had a nice battle last time those two guys matched up. They were both physical.
Yeah.
Nobody backed down. I think A.J. had 2 pass interference penalties. But I like the way he attacked Mike Evans. And Mike's going to get his. If you're going to learn one thing in this world, taxes, death, and Mike Evans for 1,000 yards, for God's sake.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on him? And is he a Hall of Famer in your mind?
I don't know how he can't be at this point. The quarterbacks he's had to deal with, the production he's had, 10 touchdowns already this year, dude. I have a stat, and I don't know where Mike – I think Mike is inside of this stat. All the receivers that are in the NFL Hall of Fame, I believe, have one thing in common, and that's they have one catch. They average at least one touchdown for every 10 catches. So imagine that, one touchdown for every 10 catches. I think Chris Carter is like 1 for every 8. Randy Moss is like 1 for 6.7 or something crazy.
Wow.
And Mike Evans is one of those guys, just so productive, so consistent. He looks like he's so angry right now, though. I don't know if he's enjoying playing the game like he used to. That's the one thing I get when I watch him on TV. Good play, incomplete pass, ball thrown at his feet, ball overthrown, even touchdowns on big plays. It doesn't look like he's having as much fun as he used to, but I could be off there.
That's called lack of contract extension, Brian.
That is very true.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would have done it, though, JP. That's 30-year-old, a lot of mileage on that guy, but dear Lord, does he show up week in and week out.
Yeah, well, we debated that at the beginning of the season, and you know, my feeling was everybody wants Mike back, but this contract's going to begin at 31 years old. He's had a history of hamstring problems. I want to pay him. I'll pay him, 3 years, 65 guaranteed. But I can't give him Devontae Adams money, and I can't pay him till he's 36 years old, making $25 million a year. I mean, there's a sweet spot there. Now, if somebody's going to give him that, so be it. But the Bucs are, and you got to look at your situation too, right? The Bucs are going to be in a rebuild after this year. So do you want to? And Chris Godwin is locked up for another 3 or 4 years at $20 million. So can you really afford to pay Mike Evans $25 million a year? And I know the cap's going up, and have 2 guys wrapped up in that. And when you can draft the receiver, he ain't going to be Mike Evans, but he's also going to be about $1 million a year. So, no
doubt.
So it's the stupid salary cap. Would we love to pay the guy? Is he the best on and off the field you've ever seen? Absolutely. But it comes down to where you are, where your team is, and where that money will be best spent. And I hope to God he stays around. I just, with where the salary cap is and where everybody else is, it's tough. And to Godwin's point, and I love you to talk about him, this guy's just not getting the targets that he used to, but the Bucs aren't throwing the ball 45 times a game either. So, but they haven't used him as well. He's better in the slot. Canales has him outside, and Baker Mayfield just allergic to throwing the ball over the middle. So, I think all those things are conspiring to keep Godwin, kind of tamped down. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. It's just he's too good of a talent to have 3 targets and no catches. Too explosive, good route runner, nice hands. With him, I can't tell you how jealous I am that you have those 2 guys on your roster, and we have what we have right now. Because I just talked about Mike Evans, and feels like it's 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns every year. Unicorn tight end from Florida, Kyle Pitts, has played in 39 freaking games and has 4 total touchdowns. So that 1 touchdown per 10 catches, he has 1 touchdown per 10 games played.
What the hell?
It's insane how frustrating it is. I don't know, man. It's brutal.
So is Justin, I'm going to talk about Justin Fields before I let you go, but Desmond, where is he at right now? Are they just trying to, find a way through this season and then reevaluate? How much confidence do they have in him in winning this game?
I think winning the game, they feel decent about. I think he's a game manager at this point. Yeah. Unfortunately, I think we've seen 14 games with the kid. He's 8-6 with 3 fourth quarter comebacks. So he's got a little moxie to him. He has the ability. But there's just something, there's some chromosome missing. He doesn't have that NFL quarterback chromosome you're looking for. It doesn't come through in media interviews after games, at the podium on Tuesdays during the week, and it doesn't really jump out at me when he's in the pocket and things are breaking down. Like multiple times, he's had opportunities to hit either Cordell Patterson or Bijan Robinson as a check down just to salvage a play and get 10 or 15 yards because the defense is back on the deep routes.
Yeah.
And he freaks out and tries to force the ball in or throws it out of bounds. It's hard. No, this is it's a problem. It's a hard position to play. We all know that.
Right.
But I'm curious if he does have that thing and he can make it work.
Is Justin Fields an option here? I mean, it seems like you screwed up on not taking him the first time. It appears he's going to be available for maybe a second-round pick. How can the Falcons, the Bucs are talking, there's scuttlebutt about the Bucs probably looking at him as well. This seems kind of like a no-brainer, but what do you think?
I don't know. I like our team. I like the way we built our defense. So if you can get somebody competent in here, and maybe it is Desmond. Maybe he has a crazy end of the season, the next 5 weeks, and in a postseason game or something. But I don't know how much better Justin Fields would be. He's 3-14 or something in the 17 games he's played. So he's a athlete. Maybe he needs a fresh start too. So I don't know. I'm hesitant to give up too much to go get a guy like that who's fairly unproven.
Interesting. All right. Final analysis of this game this week. What do you think?
I think it's going to be another close one. The Falcons had an opportunity to really blow that thing open last time we played the Bucs. Yep. Desmond Ridder fumbled inside the 5-yard line twice. So protect the football. Defense has been lights out. I don't think we've given up a touchdown since we got out of the bye week. We just got to get points. I think both teams are having trouble scoring points. Get the ball in the end zone. If we score 2 touchdowns and Younghoe Koo has 3 field goals, I like our chances.
One of those games. Can't wait. Oh, my God. They kicked FSU out of the playoff for this nonsense. So, Jesus. Any thoughts on that, my friend? Any thoughts on my Knowles getting taken up the yin-yang?
Yeah, that was brutal, dude. I apologize about that. I felt terrible for the kids, the coaches that bust their ass, put all the time and effort and energy in to get a team to 13-0 with a third-string quarterback at the end of the season. With that said, they screwed him for sure. But is Alabama a better team? Probably. Texas a better team? Probably.
No.
So I hate it for him, but I think we're going to have some good football in the Final Four.
God, let's hope so. And if Florida State beats Georgia, hey, maybe they'll be voted the AP number 1. Well,
I got my vote. You'll get my vote.
Do you have a vote?
No, I don't have a vote. I'm just kidding.
Damn. More than one. All right, BFin. At BFin86 is where you can find him on Twitter. One of the best in the game. Thanks, my friend. Appreciate it. We'll talk to you down the line.
You got it, JP. Have a good one.
Thanks. Well, there you go. Going to be a close one. So maybe it's a coin flip and the Bucs can get the right call. Who knows? All right, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, Casey Hudson's going to join us and talk some Bolts. And we'll get her thoughts on this controversy from last night on Cooper pulling the goalie too soon. We'll talk about it when we come back. We are brought to you by the great folks at the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. If you have been in an accident, go with someone local. Scott Jeeves is a local guy who's been here all his life. Big Gator fan, as you know. They've got an office in St. Petersburg where he spends part of his time, in Tampa where he spends part of his time. So you'd actually meet the man behind the firm, not some faceless big organization that ain't going to call you back. Get that personal attention you so richly deserve. Big enough to take on the big insurance company, small enough to make you important. It's the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. Back in 3. JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane. Jane is a former LPGA two-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson. So if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, you want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. Hey, you might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed. It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or trying to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to geddesgordon.kw.com. That's GEDDES Gordon.kw.com or call 813-485-6808. Tired of those stuffy, overpriced sports bars? Well, come join the fun at the Patio in South Tampa and watch your favorite football teams under the stars in a tropical paradise. It's a unique setting with huge wood decks beneath the trees, and don't worry, they have an inside AC bar with all your favorite bar games as well. The Patio has all the NFL and UFC sports packages. It's home to the Tampa Gator Club and the Bills Mafia, but all fans are welcome. Hey, my FSU buddies love to watch the Noles at the Patio. It's also home to a great happy hour weekdays. $5 White Claw vodka and $5 White Claw seltzers. $1 off all beer and wine from 3 to 7:30 off their already low prices. And every Friday happy hour, join us for Football Friday. It's our live broadcast from 5 to 7 o'clock with tons of specials. The fan mic for you to join the show. We'll have some swag and some ticket giveaways and more. So come out for the live broadcast 5 to 7 every Friday at the Patio and come watch football in a tropical paradise. 421 South McDill, just a few blocks south of Kennedy. Everyone meets at the Patio. Hey, the holidays are almost here, so take advantage of our layaway offer at the Gold and Diamond Source. Reserve your favorite piece now and pay in easy installments, making your holiday shopping stress-free. And engagement season is here as well, and we've got the largest selection of engagement rings, so visit us to find that perfect ring for that special moment. Looking for financing options? How big a ring can you get when we give you 3 to 5 years interest-free financing to make your dream jewelry more affordable? So this November, make sure you choose the Gold and Diamond Source for jewelry that's always stylish and unique, because your special someone deserves something to be thankful for, right? Find the perfect gift at the Gold and Diamond Source. Don't settle for factory-made imitations, folks. Make sure it's a Gold and Diamond Source diamond for a truly special piece of jewelry. It's the best folks in the world, Julie and Steve Weintraub at the Gold and Diamond Source, 4800 Ulmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here as we're rolling on, and we're brought to you by the great folks at Italiano Insurance and the Geddes Gordon Group. If you're looking for anything in real estate to sell your home, to get some real estate investments going, they are the folks to go to. The Geddes Gordon Group, go to geddesgordongroup.com. All right, let's talk some hockey with our good friend Casey Hudson, who covers the Bolts for Odyssey Sports. What's up, Casey? How are you?
How's it going, guys? I'm honestly dragging, but I'm so glad that the boys are going to be on the road for like 10 to 11 days. I'm not going to lie. Nice little break.
What's wrong? Like too many games at Amalie Arena? Too many late nights? What's going on?
It's the games, and it's also the fact that my family thinks they can sign me up for events to go to without checking my schedule. So today I have to go to a Christmas party of a family friend of a family friend, and I'm like, I don't even remember Joe's name. So why would I go to his Christmas party? But exactly. I'm a good child. I'm going.
Boy, do I feel that. I'm being forced to go to Christmas parties I don't want to go to. I'm being forced to go to the Nutcracker next week, which I've been told is a ballet.
Oh, my God.
Yes, you're about to go see ballet and high kicks and stuff. We have the Rockettes or something coming up soon. But yeah, there we go. Thank you. But I've told my parents and my sisters have not protected me in this, which I'm upset about. But I said, do not put me down as a yes for anything until you talk to me first. And I have 7 things to go to in the next 2 weeks on my downtime while the guys are gone. I'm upset.
It's on the list of things you have to do at Christmas that nobody wants to do. Eat fruitcake, go to the Nutcracker, and see relatives you hate. And it's like all you do during Christmas. I've taken all of that out of my life. So I paid my penance early on, I think. And so I'm done. I'm done with it.
Well, Nick
and by the way,
just suffer.
Yeah, when you're an adult, you don't get a break anymore during Christmas time. So like, what is it? I work Christmas every year. So like, how am I supposed to get into it?
It's hard. It's hard. I feel your pain, you guys. I feel your pain. I really, really do. All right, Case, what are we saying about last night's 5-1 loss to the Predators? I was watching that stretch. I think it was in the second period. They're down 3-1. They get 3 power plays, 7 scoring chances, and UC Saros is just like, an octopus in there making save after save. I think I'm going to chalk this one up to another game of having a lot of opportunities and playing well, and you run into a hot goalie and a hot team. Fair?
Yeah, absolutely. It is fair because the scoring opportunities and chances were there. We did see some good things. It's just them figuring out how to get past really good goaltending. Saros is up there within the top 10 goaltenders in the league, and we saw how tough this compete was on opening night. We knew not to assume that the Predators were going to be an easy game by any means, and they've pulled off a lot of great hockey in the past 2 weeks also. So I think it's just one of those things where the Bolts can't be trying to find consistency in their lines against teams that are going to be aggressive, but also that are very consistent. They've kind of found their identity over there faster than the Bolts have found their identity with this new roster. So I think it's just one of those things that chalks up really good. They couldn't cash in on those scoring chances.
And also, too, last night we saw, of all people, Ryan McDonough just had to score against us, which he never scores. I think that was his first goal. Yeah, he never scores, and it's some kind of just little backhander that looks so innocent. Probably one that Johansson wants to have back. But I meant to bring this up. The few times we've had you on so far, and Ryan McDonough. When you talk about some of the defensive play for the Lightning, can it just not be overstated? They truly miss that guy so much right now, or somebody with that type of profile. No.
Oh, tremendously. And I kind of like Coach Cooper's response to it on the air yesterday, just saying how they haven't kind of gotten over it. And if I have to say something is probably a hot topic, I think this is probably one of the spots where DB dropped the ball. I think that we just kind of had a skew point of view as to how to build out this roster starting 3 years ago. McDonough should have been somebody saved there. He was a big token ticket to bring over, and they haven't figured out how to replace his presence. Even with decent stay-at-home defensemen, Ryan McDonough just does it all, and his veteran presence and his ability to just keep things in play, it's very unique to his skill set. We're not going to find that for some time, I think.
So are you saying that you may have taken the Sergei money and put it towards McDonough and then tried to get around it that way?
Yeah. I think that they tried to finesse capital by locking in too many players for 8-year deals. And I understand what the big picture of that is, but Nick Paul, coming from the Ottawa Senator, not really having much of a season under his belt, he didn't need to be locked in for 8 years. Brandon Hagel, that's fantastic. I think that's going to pay out the most, but honestly, there's a lot of guys on this roster that could have been an easy 3-4 year deal, so that they could have kind of maneuvered their cap space way differently. So when you think about how many rosters need a veteran presence on there, or the fact that veterans are kind of top of the list priority to lock in, we've locked in so many young guys over veterans that I don't know why everyone's so shocked about us kind of having to get into a rebuild phase if we're calling this year a complete rebuild phase yet.
Wow, that's strong. And there have been whispers, speaking about rebuild, there's been whispers with Stamkos' contract up and not being renewed at this point that he could be traded. Are you hearing anything about this? Or anything coming out? Are you hearing anything?
From anyone that I've talked to, they make it sound like it's going to be very, very, very hard, borderline impossible to see Steven Stamkos in a different sweater. Yeah. But the only wiggle that they'll have is this extended cap space that's supposed to apply to the NHL as a whole next season. They're still going to have to do some maneuvering around because they've got, I don't know if I'm saying his name correctly, I think it is just Seabrook, but they've got this guy who's going to come off LTIR here shortly, which some of their finesse cap space is now going to be chewed up again. So it's going to be really hard to keep Stamkos, but I still can't picture him in a different sweater trade-wise whatsoever. A guy who already took a sweetheart deal, I think that he'll try as hard as possible to do whatever it takes to stay in Tampa. But again, they've put themselves in cuffs. You can't. How many players do we have 8-year contracts? I mean, Cirelli, Chernak, and Sergachev should be in year 6 or 7 by now. But still, we've got too many guys locked up and not enough to name it.
I would agree with that. When those contracts came out, I was like, wow, did we need to go there? But like the player, I didn't know if we needed to go there. Look, you want to have stability long-term, but it's a lot. It's a lot to project and a long time to project, for guys, and gives you very little flexibility. So yeah, I think those are all fair points. So I don't know, because I kind of turned it off before this, to be quite honest, last night, the game. 8:22 left. Cooper pulls the goalie, which is unorthodox to say the least, in a 4-1 game. Ends up in the back, even though the Lightning got some really good chances, ends up in the back of your net. Sergey's slamming his goal stick, and evidently I think Cooper was asked about it. And I know guys don't like to see their numbers, skewed like that. And if you're on the ice, it doesn't look good. When people go back and, of course, they're always pointing to contract numbers and whatnot for in different types of metrics when it comes contract time. So I get it. But the bottom line is, you're down 4-1 and play against a team like Nashville with a goalie who's playing like Soros is. The only way you're going to get back in this game is to get some type of advantage. And of course, the Bolts are great on the power play. They're fantastically skilled, and they've done a lot of 6-on-5 scoring over the last few years. So I get it. Where's the rub there? Is this anything to even worry about? Do the players get pissed? What do you think?
I think the players were just emotional because it's another game that they could have showed up a little differently for. They get on the board first in the first period, and they let the Predators back in through special teams. And the Predators don't even have the flashiest power play, but they were locking in those chances last night. So I think that was more of a frustrating, emotional response. Coop is known to kind of make those risky decisions in those third periods. So knowing who he is and loving and appreciating the kind of coach that he is, I don't have a hard time with it. The only thing I would nitpick at is the fact that this team wasn't having success with any man advantage last night. So adding the extra attacker, I wouldn't felt so confident about them kind of cashing out on that, because they weren't really getting much flow in their power play as is. And I know, having a 5-on-4 advantage is different than a 6-on-5, but still, that's just kind of where I would have leaned. It wasn't working in their favor. Predators were able to kind of break up a lot of their passing lanes and stuff. And Coach Cooper waited a little later to start blending up the lines. I love our captain. I don't love him on the top line, at least with Braden Point and Nikita Kucherov. What ended up being an interesting line last night was actually Hagel, Anthony Cirelli, and Nikita Kucherov. They, within 3 minutes, generated 7 shots on goal, and I want to say 5 scoring chances. But with limited time, you saw a lot of power come out of that line. So, of course, once they get an opportunity to practice again, we're going to see the lines go back in the blender. I think it's their biggest hindrance right now. They haven't found what lines are going to consistently strike hot the most. But yeah, I think it was just emotions. I don't think it was anything of an inability of this team. I think that their biggest struggle is playing catch up. So when those back-to-back goals happen, they lose their momentum. They get in their head mentally. I mentally beat themselves more than any other team in the league actually beats them. But when Connor Shearer gets back in the lineup and they can figure out what these lines are supposed to look like more consistently, I think we'll see a different level of hockey from them, or at least a more consistent level.
You're on mute, Nick. You're muted.
Well, that's what happens when you have a dog who is out the door and he's whining all crazy. I'm on mute most of the time. But anyway, at what point do we have to make an assessment, you think? If some of these things continue, it seems like they have trouble stringing together wins. It seems like, they had 2 in a row where Vasilevsky plays just lights out against Dallas on Monday, Pittsburgh on Wednesday. Obviously, he didn't play last night, but then you just get derailed. And when they get derailed, it's not like they just lose like a little 1-goal game or something like that. They get blown out. And it seems like they just kind of go right back into this cycle. So at what point do you think we have to make an assessment of, listen, this is who they are at this point? Or do we owe it to them to just keep waiting and writing this out until early next year to see who they are?
I'll say that we owe it to them to wait it out just a little bit, only because beginning of last season, anybody that paid attention to the Florida Panthers, you didn't think they were going to do anything. I mean, they weren't going to do much of anything. Borowski, when he was in between the pipes, was letting up 5-6 goals per game. I mean, I think the GAA against him was sitting at like over 3.7. Then the second half of the season comes. So they're getting enough points to stay in that wild card conversation. If they remain there come the second half, I want a mid-February. I'm not going to stress it. If they drop too far below the wild card conversation come February, then we do just have to chalk it up and say we're going to see what the offseason looks like with these guys, and we'll come back and see what 2024, 2025 has to hold. But I still think that this roster is way too talented for Vasilevsky to come back from that injury and play lights out while he's still getting his body acclimated to the pace of the game. I think that was a really good sign. When I talked to Mikhail Sergachev last week one-on-one after morning skate, he was saying how Vasilevsky and Johansson actually kind of elevate each other competitive-wise. Johansson didn't let in any high-danger goals last night. For the level of pucks that were coming at him, that's still a really good sign. So it's his defense playing better in front of him. It's just everything from the front forward and these lines figuring out what's the best fit here. So I'm not panicked by any means yet because, like you said, when they do lose, hopefully you guys can still hear me. My internet's doing something stupid.
No,
when they do lose, it's always blowout fashion, and I think it's more of a mental thing because these teams just tend to get 2 goals back-to-back really quickly. So now they've got this 2-goal lead in front of the Bolts. Playing catch-up is not their forte. If it was within 1 goal heading into the third period, a lot more confidence in the Lightning's roster. So February, depending on their points, depending on what wins they pull off, is where I would more so reassess this team and have more firm opinion of what I think they are or are not going to do.
All right, Casey, I hesitate to do this because you're so classy and professional reporter, but, there was a lot of scuttlebutt going on this week about Fartgate. You know what I'm talking about. Vassy in the interview. Yeah. We've, Austin Watson had a nice fight last night, and word is he was the culprit in the drive-by crop dusting of Vassy. And I'm like, it's a good week, kid. You know how to please a crowd, especially here in Tampa Bay. So it is of your best knowledge, was Austin Watson the culprit in Fartgate?
It was Watson. I can confirm that it was him.
My dear Watson.
The way the show happened with media, I was standing on the outskirts just kind of holding my phone. So I was closer to the guys still kind of, getting out of their gear behind me. And so there was, it was either Perbix or Knack right there, but they were sitting down. And then the distance of the back of the locker room, it was just Watson, one Lone Ranger. The sound makes it very obviously where it came from. And then on top of that, he gets up, stretches, and goes, yeah. So it was just like, all right, thanks, Watson. He brings that gas in 2 different forms, in the locker room and when it comes to dropping the gloves.
So it wasn't even a drive-by. It was a distant shot.
Oh yeah, no.
Wow.
I think there was an immediate silence and then an uproar, like all of us laughing because we realized what had actually just happened. But I think everybody else in media who's closely tight in the circle to Vasilevsky, they were just so caught up in that moment. As soon as I heard it, I looked around, but then that's when I saw Watson take responsibility for just completely ripping in the back of the locker room. It was just him.
I knew we'd get to the bottom of this week. And Casey Hudson, leaving no cheek unturned, found out exactly who the culprit was. Congratulations. Fantastic. That's the type of in-depth reporting that we get on this show that people look forward to. So, all right, Casey, great stuff. As always, thank you so much. Enjoy your family the next few days. Yeah. I want a full report next week.
Oh, and I'm sure I'll have plenty of stories for you guys as well. So have a great weekend, guys.
Grandma forgetting how to speak English is still my favorite. All right. Thank you. All right. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about John Rahm, you traitor. What are you doing? Going to live golf? What the hell's going on in golf? And we'll get into some Rays discussion as well as free agency continues. The trade market, we're all waiting for Ohtani to make his decision, which could come today. So we'll get into that when we return. We're brought to you by the great folks at The Patio. Come on down to The Patio to watch all your favorite games this weekend. Football, NFL football, Bucs game on Sunday. The best place to watch all your sporting events.
Indoors, outdoors, casual atmosphere, great prices, fantastic staff. It's all at the patio, 421 South McDill. All right, back in 3. Stay with us. JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane. Jane is a former LPGA 2-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson. So if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, you want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. Hey, you might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed. It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or trying to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to GeddesGordon.kw.com. That's GEDDES Gordon.kw.com. or call 813-485-6808.
Do you have any old coins sitting around the house? Well, the Gold and Diamond Source will purchase a variety of different types of coins and bullion. Their gold buying program includes sterling silver, silver, platinum, and watches. They also accept unusual pieces that other jewelry stores do not, such as gold bars and sterling silver flatware. The list of items they do accept is far more extensive than those they don't, so check it out. While you're there, you can check out the largest collection of any family-owned jewelry store in the country, especially with summer coming to an end. The holidays are right around the corner. Never too early to start your holiday shopping, especially if you're planning on getting engaged or have any birthdays or anniversaries coming up. Come on in and find out what buying jewelry should be like with an expert staff of gold and diamond jewelry enthusiasts. And the best part, they treat you like family. And if you're worrying about price, don't. The Gold and Diamond Source has something for everyone's budget. They even have a layaway. If you stop in and get your favorite piece now, you can have it paid off by Christmas. Plus, you can even finance your purchase with 0% interest for up to 5 years, and you can get a $5,000 diamond for only $83 a month. It's the greatest folks in the world, Julie and Steve Weintraub, the Gold and Diamond Source, 3800 Olmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. Hey guys, are you experiencing those feelings of getting older, lower sex drive, fatigue, hot flashes, moodiness, or you just don't feel like you had the vitality you once had? It's a chronic problem here in the United States. You're not just getting old, it's likely low testosterone. Studies over the last 20 years show a shocking decline in younger males aged 16 to 39. Older men have seen a sharp decline as well, so do something about it. Go see my friend Christopher Lugo at Bay Area Modern Medicine. Look, testosterone replacement is not a frivolous treatment. It takes a professional, targeted approach that focuses on total body wellness, vitality, and emotional stability, not a one-size-fits-all approach like many clinics use. They will monitor your blood work and adjust your treatment as needed for optimal results. Folks, I've been on testosterone therapy for over 6 years, and it is a life changer. You will feel and look better than you did 10 years ago. Give them a call at 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling. That's 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group, Jeeves. Call for a free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES. We're local, we're trusted. The law firm brings over 80 years of combined legal experience focusing on clients in Tampa Bay, the state of Florida, and national class action cases. If you're injured, get that free case evaluation, no cost to you. The Jeeves Law Group's focus is on auto, truck, and motorcycle accidents, as well as class action and consumer protection law. Scott Jeeves is a board-certified civil trial lawyer and a certified circuit court mediator practicing in the Tampa Bay area for over 30 years. You hear him on the show all the time. Great guy, big Gator fan, and great for the community. The Jeeves Law Group is a highly skilled team with years of experience that will apply their skills, expertise, and knowledge to assist individuals who have been in an accident with compensation for damages, lost wages, medical expenses, pain and suffering, and property damage. Get that free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES.
Coming back at you. Now, more with JP on FanStream Sports. It's only just begun.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show. Thank you so much for joining us here. We look forward to our first college weekend without football. Well, I think we got Army-Navy game this weekend, but
yeah, both battling for a bowl game.
Yeah, so we got that going for us, and then into the bowl season. I haven't even thought one rip about the actual playoff, the matchups whatsoever. But it's also baseball free agency season, and we're going to get a decision from Ohtani today, I believe, right, Nick? I know you've been following this a lot closer than I have, so I've been wallowing in my FSU disgust all week. What's going on with the Rays and baseball here?
Yeah, if we could start off the top, because I don't think you've been on since Juan Soto was traded to the New York Yankees. So he's in the division now, and so the Yankees apparently – no, not the Rays. No, not the Rays. Okay, but the Yankees apparently have decided they want to act like the Yankees again, and they're going for it, and Cashman said that they're not done. They want to make it the mecca of baseball again. Does this make the Yankees better? Absolutely. No doubt about that. But I still look at their lineup, and I see Aaron Judge. I see Juan Soto. And I still see the same guys who couldn't get it done the last 2, 3, 4 seasons and that are all getting older in that lineup. And so, I don't know. Yankees will be better. They'll be tough. There'll be a tougher out. But are the Yankees all of a sudden a World Series contender? I don't know. I still see holes on that roster. We're still early in free agency, but I guess kudos to them.
Yeah, Soto's that's a big ad. That's a huge
hell of a player.
Judge, he and Judge in that lineup that thickens things up tremendously. And yeah, that's I think that's he's a difference maker. There's no question about that. I would love, we talked about him coming to the Rays, and I told you that was a pipe dream. But you start projecting him into your lineup, and it's it's so much harder to pitch around guys, which has always been a thing with the Rays. You guys get hot for a couple of weeks and you can pitch around. There's just never been enough depth to that lineup to make them dangerous offensively, except for a few moments here and there. So you just need those proven bats, man. You need those guys that are going to step up in the playoffs.
Yeah, you just hope that they could. If you're a Yankee fan, you just got to cross your fingers that some of these guys can stay healthy at this point, because when Judge went down with that injury, the Yankees were nothing. They were nothing without Aaron Judge. So you just need Stanton. Cashman already said it. They already know it's part of his game that he's going to get injured. So you're almost waiting on that. When it comes to Ohtani, John Morosi said today that a decision from him is imminent, possibly as early as today. And then he added on MLB Network this morning that the Toronto Blue Jays have improved their standing in the Shohei Ohtani sweepstakes. So that complicates things even more if you're the Rays, because you just welcomed Juan Soto to the division, and here comes Shohei Ohtani to the division. My goodness, we already know the Toronto lineup can rake, and then you put Ohtani in the middle of that thing. I think that team would I think that's a better team than New York. It already is. But if you add Ohtani to the mix, I think the Blue Jays on paper, but again, we play the games. On paper, they look like the favorite in the division by far if they get Shohei Ohtani.
So as everyone in the division gets better, what are the Rays doing?
I think a lot of what the Rays are doing is honestly just dependent on what was going to happen with Soto. It was dependent on what happens with Ohtani. And I think that's why a lot of things have been kind of at a standstill. Like this whole winter meetings was rather quiet.
Yeah. The dominoes got to fall.
And then some of these other teams, I think, like I said last week, that have been in on Glasnow and some of these other guys, if they strike out on him, like if you're like a Dodgers and you've been going hardcore after Ohtani, I have to think they probably went after Soto too a little bit. Everyone's chasing Yamamoto. I still think there's still some chips to fall here before we start to get to movement on the Rays.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, if certain teams don't get Ohtani and the players they're looking for, then they start zeroing in on Arozarena.
And they might overpay. And I think that's probably why the Rays are listening right now to everything, because it might be an overpaying market.
Which they desperately need. They need another Chris Archer trade to turn them around and get a couple of really, really good pieces that they can turn into more pieces, because that's what they do. It'd be nice if they just went out.
I want to see if they can get. Yeah, I want to see if they can get some major league talent back for, some of these guys if they trade him. I think that's the thing. Like, if you're going to trade Isak Paredes and the team that keeps being mentioned is Seattle, well, you know what? Fork over George Kirby or fork over Logan Gilbert and give me a guy that I can put in the front of my rotation that is proven, and I know what I'm going to get. If I'm trading Tyler Glasnow, and again, the Cubs are a team that's been mentioned, Christopher Morel is a player that's been mentioned already. And this is a guy last year, first year in the big leagues, hit 22 home runs, drove in 64. The OPS was 800. He plays the third base, so logically you would think that would where they'd plug him if they traded Paredes. If you can get him back for Tyler Glasnow, I'd be over the moon if they can get a proven player like that. So
people are sitting here saying, "What are you, crazy?" Glasnow's, a top 5 pitcher when he's healthy. When he's healthy, and the $25 million, which you should be able to absorb. But if you're the Rays, you're not going to pay that.
Yeah, if they have to trade these guys and they feel like they do, you just have to live with it, I guess, at this point, and hope again that you can get some major league talent back for these players.
And here's the rub on the whole thing: if everybody else gets better, and the Yankees weren't going to stay down forever, the Red Sox are not going to stay down forever. The Blue Jays may actually figure out how to win.
The Orioles are there.
The Orioles are already there, so everybody else is getting better. And you don't see, if you have to point an arrow for the Rays right now, it's pointing down. And so I don't see them adding to the group, right? Going out and getting big money free agents and just augmenting what you already have.
Yeah, they're just going to be trading to just continue to get that cycle going there.
Yeah. And who the hell knows what's going on with Wander? And this is a big chip.
It's a big
and I hear people saying, well, we don't want him back anyway. I'm like, what?
Is no news good news on the Wander front, the Wander Franco front, you think?
Yeah.
Because it's been very quiet.
The money is being spent as we speak. I just, for the life of me, are they finally going to, and I'm sure I'm speaking out of turn here. I don't know anything about the justice system down there except what I'm told by people who have lived in the DR all their lives and say, there ain't no way they're prosecuting that guy. No way. They've never prosecuted a baseball player in their life. Those Major League Baseball players are like gods down there. From an economic standpoint, they drive a lot. Baseball drives a lot. There's no prosecutor down there that wants to make a name for themselves by taking a Major League Baseball superstar. And, and I'm not saying it's right, folks. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just reading the cards from what people tell me about. And so, time heals all things, and, they'll let all the hoopla die down, and at some point he'll be reinstated, and then the Rays will have, a decision to make on their own.
It changes
or turn him for hopefully a lot of great players.
Yeah, it just changes so much if you get him back. I mean, this is a top 10 talent in the game.
Right. Yeah.
We can't forget that. They've invested a lot in him for sure. For what Juan Soto is going to be for the Yankees, for what Ohtani's going to be if he goes to Toronto or wherever else he goes, or even some of those other stars they have. Wander Franco's that guy for you and your baseball team. And we saw what happened. The lineup wasn't the same without Wander Franco.
Yeah,
it's
that
totally
impactful.
Kevin Cash said at the winter meetings that right now, if healthy, Taylor Walls is your starting shortstop. I'm sorry, but Taylor Walls cannot be your starting shortstop next year.
Not in this division.
No way. So that's why you need Wander Franco back, and you just got to hope that he's innocent first and foremost. Obviously, if he's guilty, goodbye. You just have to hope that that's not the case, and then you welcome him back, you sit him down, and you have a real conversation with the kid and emphasize what you need out of him at this point.
All right, I wanted to get to the John Rahm thing, and tell me if you name this golfer quote. I laugh when people rumor me with Live Golf. I've never liked the format, and I always have a good time with Phil and Sergio in a practice round. Phil respects my decision. I respect his. Mickelson has told me that I have no reason to go play for Live, and he has told me that multiple times. I've never really played the game of golf for monetary reasons. I've always been interested in history and legacy, and right now the PGA Tour has that. There's a meaning when you win the Memorial Championship. There's a meaning when you win Arnold Palmer's event at Bay Hill. There's a meaning when you win L.A., Torrey Pines, some of these historic venues. That, to me, matters a lot. Can you name that PGA Tour player who uttered those quotes?
That was one John Rahm in 2022.
Ding, 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 ding. You are correct, sir. So why the hell did he just sign with Live Golf? Here's the reason.
We
money.
We know why. It's money. It's really, we've had a lot of discussions about money this week, haven't we?
Mm-hmm.
And the control that they have on the world of sports. I mean, listen, I you can hate where the money's coming from. I got no problem with that.
Whatever.
But again, if reported $600 million in front of your face and they continue to do it, eventually you're probably going to break. I mean, that's a lot of money. I mean, that's not just for you. That's generational wealth, your entire family, essentially forever, right there. It's a tough spot these players get put in when they're forced to like pick between the money and then pick between the history. Yeah. And I know all their quotes become they contradict themselves with all these quotes and everything. It just in general, it just sucks because we want to see the best players on one tour, and the more this goes on without an official agreement between these two tours, because that has a hard out on December 31st to be finalized. And what's interesting too, people keep asking, well, how'd this happen? Go back to when they came to this agreement in June or whatever it was, July. There was a provision in there that neither league would poach players from the other tour. A month later, that was taken out.
Yeah.
So that's what led the way for this to happen.
Well, I'm doing a little bit of research. I found out that in mergers and acquisitions, usually those are announced when deals are like almost totally finalized. And this is what was so shocking when this was announced in June, because the negotiations had just started. Why in the world would you come out and say we have a framework when you just started what were going to be very difficult and laborious negotiations? It's because Jay Monahan is completely over his skis. He knows he has no leverage against this cash cow, and he was grasping at straws. And he's not a very good leader, in my opinion. No. So you had a lot of bad things in the PGA Tour's side of this whole deal. And so as negotiations went on, Monahan, I think, was probably trying to negotiate from a position of strength when he didn't have it. And when that happens, and the other side is, a grizzled, business savvy, rich organization, they just see you as a little whiner trying to get your way. And finally, they just go, okay, we've had enough. We wanted to do a deal with you, but you're just not respecting who's really in charge here. So we're going to crush you. We're going to crush you right now. And so they went out and they did it with the nuclear bomb that they had at their disposal. And that was Jon Rahm. And this is going to force the PGA Tour to capitulate to whatever the powers that be.
Liv just got all the leverage in the world by adding Jon Rahm.
So where are we now? And I think Liv Golf basically is going to come. Hopefully, they will come to respect the PGA Tour and the history of the game, and they'll get rid of all this stupid shit that they're doing on their events that make it look like a freaking.
It's not gonna happen. You have to understand that Greg Norman is still involved. He took the photo with Jon Rahm, and Greg Norman, his main mission, in my opinion, is to get the PGA Tour. And as long as he's there, I think that's going to remain the mission.
Yeah.
And so, but part of what you said about Monahan's not wrong, and the PGA Tour has a part to play in why this has gotten the way it was. Yeah. We just don't like who are the people who financed it.
It's interesting, though. I see a lot of parallels between college football and PGA Tour. These entities that for years knew they were screwing their players and knew they could do better, but just wanted to, on all the muckety mucks, the television executives and the PGA Tour commissioners and all these people that didn't deserve a freaking dollar to suck up all the money and let the players just kind of go for some scraps. And in the end, when you're exposed like this, it's almost too late. And had the PGA Tour been proactive and gone out and gotten investments and truly maximized their financial possibilities and started to pay their players what they should have been paid, there wouldn't have been a problem. Same thing with the college football players. But when you're too greedy and you're too freaking lazy and you rest on your laurels, this is what happens. And somebody comes in and they F the whole thing up. And this is what's happening. ESPN comes in and Fs up the entire college football system. And now Liv Golf is going to come in and F up our entire golf system, what we've come to know and love in the PGA Tour. And that's what sucks about this whole thing. So now we're going to have some ridiculous carnival show that is not the PGA Tour I grew up. Look, I'm okay with adding a little spice here and there, loosening up some things on tour. I think that's okay. I think Liv Golf has taken it way too far. I don't, the team stuff, all this other shenanigans, I got no time for it. I want a golf tournament, right? And I don't know. So here we are, and I have no idea where it's going, but I don't think it's going to be good. And it screws up. So now I turn on the TV and 3 of the past 5 major champions are not going to be playing on a weekly deal on the PGA Tour. That sucks. That sucks for the golf fan.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And it's one thing, like Brooks was a device. Brooks for whatever reason, is a divisive player. He just is. You either love him or you hate him. So he goes to live. There's already people that are going to be like, I don't care. It's Brooks. Cam Smith's a great player.
Yeah.
But John Rahm is different. John Rahm is on that like tier 1.
Yeah.
Of like player that you tune in to see that everyone loved. And so you
out of the NFL.
Right.
You know, it's going to matter. It's going to matter. And now you've got 3 of them. I mean, imagine if you took the Eagles and 49ers and the Chiefs out of the league. You know, like, what? All right. It's your second-class league now.
And like you said, it also is going to impact all the smaller events, the Valspars of the world. All those events are the bigger losers in this whole thing.
Yeah, they're on their way to going away.
Like the majors are going to go on, and we're all going to watch them regardless. But the smaller events are the ones that are going to have a hard time getting the best fields.
Yeah, and surviving, and that sucks. That sucks. That to me, this is the harbinger. It's like this may be the straw that breaks the camel back, that changes everything in professional golf, and takes the PGA Tour from being the elite tour to now we're going to have 3 or 4 different tours where everybody's spread out and nobody gives a shit. And we get 4 tournaments in a Ryder Cup a year where we actually have something that we care about. So sucks for the golf fan. That's where I'm at with it more than anything else, because the leadership has been so vapid and vacant for so long on the PGA Tour. All right, boy, it's been an interesting week. Great job, Nick Geddes. Thank you guys for listening and watching. Please tell your friends all about it. It's the JP Peterson Show, where we bring together some of the best and biggest names each and every week in Tampa Bay sports. We give you a whole picture of all the different sports, and we hope you guys are enjoying it. And thanks so much for being part of it. Have a great weekend, everybody. We will talk to you on Monday.